Let's start by telling you that President Bola Tinubu has expressed his condolences to the military and families of 6 soldiers who lost their lives in the January 4th, 2025 attack on the Sabongida Army base. Now, in a statement released on Thursday by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president praised the bravery and sacrifice of the fallen soldiers, emphasizing that their contribution to the national security will never be forgotten. Now, Tinubu commended the Nigerian armed forces for their swift and decisive response to the dawn assault, which demonstrated their resilience and commitment to safeguarding the nation. He reaffirmed his administration's dedication to eradicating terrorism and banditry, promising continued support for the military in the face of evolving threats. Now, the attack, which claimed 6 lives, was met with a robust counteroffensive by the armed forces, underscoring their determination to uphold peace and stability across the country. And speaking of upholding peace and stability, the Nigeria Police Force, alongside a lawmaker representing Kano, has initiated efforts to reunite 59 children allegedly trafficked from Kano State with their families. This followed the arrest of a suspected trafficker, Idris Ibrahim, by the FCT Police Command on his way to Nasarawa State and subsequent handover to the lawmaker in Abuja. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has more on this story.
The children, aged between 4 and 12 years, were transported in this vehicle on their way to Nasarawa State from Kano. However, luck was not on their side as they were intercepted by police officers along the Abuja-Kano road on January 6th. The police said that the incident, categorized as a case of suspected child abuse and human trafficking, is due to a lack of proper documentation or parental consent.
The vehicle was driven by one Ali Ibrahim, a male resident of Kano State, accompanied by his motorboy named Azan Ibrahim, also of Kano State. The bus was found to be transporting 59 male children aged between 4 to 12 years old.
However, 60-year-old Idris Ibrahim has denied the allegations, claiming that he sought the parents' consent before moving the children to Nasarawa State for Quranic education.
He said that he collected them from their parents. He's teaching them Islamic education.
Immediately after Ibrahim was paraded, a lawmaker from Kano State visited the FCT police commands to facilitate the release of the children. He attributes the issue to a practice prevalent in the northern region of the country.
And I know their mission is to go for Quranic education. Then they transfer them to police headquarters, and after interrogation and the questions, then we now agree that they will release them to social welfare of the FCT, then they release them to me to take them back home.
The lawmaker is calling on the government to do more to stop the trend.
You know, naturally, it is in our own culture, in our own tradition. Now we are in transition. We want to change the narration, and you need to do a lot. We need government intervention, we need society intervention, and we need individual parent intervention to stop it. Let us devise another way of teaching Quran.
While the police have reiterated their commitment to protecting vulnerable groups from exploitation and abuse, the lawmaker is calling for collective efforts to eliminate any form of child abuse. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
We'll also go on now to tell you that a young lady has been arrested by the police in Delta State, South Nigeria, after conniving with her boyfriend to deceive her parents that she has been kidnapped, whereas she deliberately faked the kidnap to obtain a huge sum of money as ransom from her parents. A ransom of 2 million naira was demanded from the parents while she was taking refuge at the boyfriend's house where the plot was hatched. Now, according to the police in Delta State, the fake kidnap was uncovered following a discreet investigation, as both the girl and her boyfriend have been arrested.
Today we'll be parading a girl and a boy. She's 21 years. We'll find out the age of the boy very soon. She left the house on the 30th of December to go and visit the boyfriend. And when it's time for her to go back, the boyfriend was not having transport fare to give to her. And she sold the idea to the boyfriend. Why don't we call my parents and tell them that I have been kidnapped? They actually called the parents and demanded for 2 million naira. Even when the parents were begging for 100,000, they declined. 500,000, they declined until the parent decided to report to the police.
Now, Nigeria's National Youth Conference, the first in more than a decade, is expected to hold in the first week of February. The 30-day gathering was introduced in response to recent youth agitations against the Nigerian government. The organizers plan to engage delegates on critical issues affecting young people in the country, and that includes the rising cost of living, unemployment, access to quality education, social services, to name a few.
We have had I think it's 2005 political confab under Obasanjo. We had 2014 national conference under Goodluck Jonathan that came up with about 600 recommendations. Many of them were never touched.
We've had incidents where, over time, gatherings of this nature, youth gatherings of this nature are taking place. But up to date, I'm not sure that we've seen that transform the well-being of youth.
Why confab? There are so many channels that the government can try to reach the youth. Then how are delegates going to be selected? Who are those that are going to be recommending these delegates? Because if at the end of the day, you end up gathering 90% of youths that are pro-government, you're not doing anything.
We need to give the administration benefit of doubt. Is this a welcome development? It is. Hear them out. Let them bring their own ideas on how governance could be better done. Then government will sift through it. But what I would not want is to kill whatever recommendation in view.
My concern is really with the mobilization for that confab. It shouldn't be business as usual. The mobilization should be robust such that an average Nigerian who ordinarily does not care about what happens in government should be given an opportunity to come and discuss how it pinches them in their shoe, because it was the protest that bordered on survival.
We have a huge implementation problem in Nigeria. Things are so bad right now between government and the youth that...
Now, as businesses resume after the Christmas and New Year festivities, poultry sellers in the nation's capital, Abuja, say they're still grappling with losses incurred during the season as many of their stock remain unsold. Some of them spoke to News Central Television in Abuja, saying that despite the expectations of high sales during the festivities, a substantial part of their stock remain unsold, leading to severe financial strain among the sellers. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai visited the Yanya market in Abuja and filed this report.
For Nigerians like Ngoche Felicia, rearing chickens for the Christmas and New Year festivities has always been a moment to look up to. With the increase in the cost of chicken feed, vaccination, and basic chicken medication, which caused a hike in prices, many sellers hope to recoup their investment during the festivities.
Before I used to buy chicken 120, 100 naira a day old, but now 1,001 something. So it's very expensive. Chicken sellers at the
Nyanya market in Abuja were not left out, as many of them had unsold stock, with the price of chicken affected by inflation and increasing by over 100% when compared to this time last year.
During Christmas time, we face many challenges about the market. The things are still cost muchly. Though we buy it and then we'll sell. Like other years, we would buy it plenty, like 200 pieces, and then we'll sell it. But this time, because the challenge it is, we didn't get much market. Just few, of course, we just said few.
Many consumers say that they had to adjust their budget because of the high price of chicken.
We enjoyed previous Christmas, but this time, it wasn't really that good. I got 2 chicken for 15,000, and it's actually the same size.
However, for individuals like Hussein Ibrahim, who renders butchering services at the market, his own story was different as business went as normal.
This Christmas is better to last year
because this year I keep more than 200, where I tell you. But that last year, many people don't have money to buy some things.
The festive season brought misfortunes for different stakeholders. Though chicken is a staple commodity on the tables of many Nigerians, they say they are hoping the price of chicken will be more affordable during the next festive season. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
That was our correspondent Joshua Marai giving us a feedback on the aftermath of the festivities. It's time to go on a short break, and when we come back, Federal High Court orders forfeiture of 228.4 million naira linked to ex-Abia governor. We have the details of this story and more after the break. Many thanks for staying with us on the news. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has detained 10 of its officers for allegedly stealing operational items they could not account for. Now, in a statement issued on Wednesday, the EFCC's head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, said the arrests were made following directives from the agency's executive chairman, Ola Olukoyede. Now, this development comes just days after the EFCC dismissed 27 personnel for fraudulent activities and misconduct. Oyewale stated that the detentions were part of ongoing efforts to eliminate corruption within the agency. Meanwhile, a non-governmental organization, Journalists Against Corruption, has applauded the EFCC's recent actions, describing them as a commitment to maintaining integrity within the anti-graft body. And now to judicial matters. The Lagos State Special Offences Court has dismissed an application by former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele, challenging its jurisdiction to hear a $4.5 billion and $2.8 billion fraud case brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. Now, in his ruling on Wednesday, Justice Rahman Oshodi affirmed the court's authority to try Emefiele and his co-defendant, Henry Omoile. However, the judge struck out 4 of the 26 charges against the defendants, citing lack of jurisdiction. Emefiele faces accusations of abuse of office and the illegal allocation of funds amounting to $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira. Now, at a prior hearing on December 12, 2024, Emefiele's counsel, Olalekan Ojo, argued that the case should not be heard in Lagos. Now, the trial is set to continue on February 24th and 26th, 2025. Still speaking of trials and allegations, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the interim freezing and forfeiture of over 228.4 million naira linked to former Abia State Governor Theodore Orji. Justice Emeka Nwite issued the order on Wednesday after hearing an ex parte application filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Now, the EFCC counsel, Fadila Yusuf, informed the court that the forfeiture was crucial to the agency's investigation into allegations of money laundering involving the former governor. Justice Nwite directed the EFCC to publish the forfeiture order in a national newspaper to notify any interested parties. He also invited individuals with claims to the funds to appear before the court within 14 days to explain why the money should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. The case was adjourned to February 3rd for a compliance report. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, has confirmed that telecom tariffs in Nigeria will rise, but not by the 100% proposed by operators. Now, speaking after a stakeholders meeting in Abuja on Wednesday, Tijani disclosed that a commission study on the tariff adjustment is still under review, and the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, will issue directives to ensure a balanced outcome. The minister stressed the need for proper regulations to support the sustainable growth of the telecommunications sector amidst global economic pressures. He also acknowledged operators' calls for significant tariff hikes due to rising operational costs, but assured Nigerians that the government is taking steps to cushion the impact. Now, Tijani reiterated the government's commitment to striking a balance between the interests of operators and the financial well-being of Nigerians. Now, survivors of the Agbor tanker inferno in Delta State, South Nigeria, are yet to recover from the shock and depression following the tragic incident. Coping with such a traumatic event can be extremely challenging, but words of encouragement, including financial assistance to the victims' families and survivors, could be one of the ways to manage the emotional fallout. News Central's correspondent, Austin Azu, has more.
Days after the disaster that struck in Agbo, Ika South local government area of Delta State, where a diesel-laden tanker failed to brake, fell on the ever-busy old Lagos-Asaba road, exploded, killed 4 persons, burnt buildings including commercial banks and parts of church building.
Not be smart, we don't see water, Many people's house don't go, load don't go, when I come, I beg.
Though survivors of the inferno are still counting their losses, they look forward to immediate relief and long-term assistance.
I'm appealing to the government so that they can come to our aid and do something for us so that we can see something to cope up again.
Meanwhile, Chairman Board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Chiedu Ebie, is here at the site of the incidents and meets with survivors of the disaster.
The cases we commiserate with both sets or groups of people on this unfortunate incident. And we will definitely see how best we can support to support the affected persons, because people, as you can see, people have lost their sources of livelihood, and so we call on not just government institutions, but also good-spirited individuals to come to the aid of, but we definitely will support them. We're going to compile a list of those that have been affected, determine the losses incurred. That's for those that lost material things, and see how best we can support them so that they can get their businesses back on track.
The NDDC board chairman later visited the husbands of 2 of the victims, where he offered words of hope and encouragement.
At times like this, the only way people can get over it is when people come to support, come to commiserate with you, show you plenty of love and concern, and that's why we're here today. I can feel and see the pain in your eyes, but it's just very unfortunate. We hope that God will give you the strength and the fortitude to bear the loss of your wife.
It remains to be seen how the survivors rebuild themselves in the aftermath of the devastating Taka blast. In Agbo for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Now, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has expressed support for the party's embattled national publicity secretary, Felix Morka, following backlash over comments made about Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. Now, Ganduje criticized claims attributed to Obi as misleading and accused them of inciting pro-Obi supporters to target Morka. His statement came after Morka revealed that he and his family had received over 200 death threats linked to his remarks during a Sunday interview on Arise Television. Now, in the interview, Morka alleged that Obi had crossed the line in his criticism of President Bola Tinubu's administration, asserting that the Labour Party candidate deserved whatever came his way. Obi, in response, accused Morka of issuing a veiled threat to his life, leading to an online uproar. Now, Ganduje reiterated the APC's commitment to countering what he described as baseless allegations against the Tinubu administration with facts, emphasizing the need for civility in political discourse. All right, we'll be discussing this right away. And to join me discuss this, we're joined by public affairs analyst Dotun Ojon. Thank you so much, Dotun, for joining us, and good afternoon to you. All right.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you join us as well. Now, Dotun, what do you make of Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje's support for Felix Morka in the face of allegations from Peter Obi, as well as his supporters.
Okay, and I'm glad you actually said Peter Obi and his supporters. So everyone too has their supporters, and you do not expect that for somebody who is speaking for a political party that he would be suddenly offended by the chairman of his own political party. So it's a way of also lending his voice and support the publicity secretary of his party, and is actually understandable. And by extension, it's not just supporting the publicity secretary of his party, it's also supporting his government. So it's expected that when issues like this happen, that the party chairman is going to just go the direction of speaking in line with what the publicity secretary has said, or perhaps even supporting him.
Right. Speaking of this same issue, do you think that Ganduje's defense of Morka will have any long-term effect on the public's perception of the leadership of the APC?
Okay, no, so at the moment, the public perception of APC is a bit bad, and that owing to the fact that I think it's a matter of performance versus expectation. I think a lot of people were hopeful that the government at this point in time would do better. And that's also coming from the fact that a lot of people have said, and I have personally been in fora where people said that no matter who became the president of Nigeria before the 2023 election, that the economy was not just going to be worse than what we were having under former President Buhari. So there's this thought within the minds of many people that the worst we could have is what the former president had given us. So when this happened and the reality of all the back and forth about the economy, what the government is doing about fuel subsidy and all of that happened, it was clear that a lot of people will have it very, very bad with the APC, which is exactly what has happened. So it's not just going to add to the public perception, it's not going to remove from it. The reality in the marketplace is that there seems to be a disconnect between what the government is doing and what the people really want. There seems to be a disconnect between what the government is saying and what the people are experiencing. So, and anything that has to do with the government indirectly also affects the party. So it's not going to add to anything, and it's not going to remove from anything.
All right, looking at the threats that were made against Felix Morka, in your opinion, how significant are these threats, and what impact could they have on the political landscape?
Okay, it has already heated up the polity, and
all right, unfortunately, I think that we are having issues maintaining connection with him, but we're hoping that we can have him back to discuss this issue on politics in Nigeria. But in the meantime, the Multinational Joint Task Force, as part of effort to strengthen regional solidarity, has awarded medals to officers and men from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger for their contributions to the ongoing fight against insurgency in the Lake Chad region. Now, this MNJTF provided support to wounded soldiers and the families of those who lost their lives in the fight against insurgency in the Lake Chad. News Central's Umoru Kirawa completes the report.
For more than a decade, the battle to ending terrorism has been the cause in the Lake Chad. Armed forces use both gunpowder and persuasive strategies.
We have facilitated the repatriation of over 30,000 refugees and internally displaced persons, helping them return to their communities and restoring their normal lives. During Operation Lake Sanity 2, which was conducted from the 23rd of April to the 23rd of July last year, we dismantled crucial terrorist logistic bases, neutralizing over 310 terrorists and crippling their operational capabilities. Our efforts have also led to the arrest of over 160 logistics suppliers and informants, as well as the surrender of more than 800 terrorists and their families, indicating a decline in support of terrorism.
Political leaders, traditional and members of the diplomatic corps, among others, converged here to honor the selfless sacrifice of the men and officers of the MNJTF. Hamid Usman, a soldier who lost both limbs amidst battle, smiled as he received support.
L'opération Lac Senti 2, menée sur une période de 3 mois, avec 2 prolongations stratégiques de 45 jours chacune, a été un tournant majeur dans notre lutte contre Boko Haram. Cette opération a permis la destruction des bases terroristes dans la région de Kida-Ougo.
Families of fallen heroes were also supported.
I'm extremely happy, but I said so, that while I'm happy, we shouldn't forget that the war is still not over. The minds of the army should not completely be diverted from the northeast, because northeast still has some certain serious threats. We need to clear the remnants.
The battle to ensuring peace in the Lake Chad region remains a challenge, and the multinational joint task force says they are determined to work closely with the communities to address some of the security threats bedeviling the region. From Jamaina, headquarters of Chad, for News Central, Morka.
Coming up on the news, attack on presidential complex leaves several dead. We have the details of this story after the break. Join us again. Once again, thank you for staying with us. Now, Chad's government has downplayed the recent assault on its presidential complex, rejecting claims that it was a terrorist act. A government spokesperson and Foreign Minister Abdurrahman Kolamala, addressing the nation on state television, described the attack as disorganized and incomprehensible. Kolamala revealed that the assailants had attacked 4 guards before breaching the complex, where they were easily overpowered. He added that the surviving attackers appeared to be completely drugged and posed no significant threat to the nation. Chad, under military rule, frequently faces security challenges, particularly from Boko Haram militants in the Lake Chad region, bordering Cameroon, Nigeria, and Niger. The country recently terminated a military agreement with France and has been accused of meddling in Sudan's ongoing conflict.
C'est une attaque de 25 assaillants, 24 plus précisément, une sorte de ramassis de bandes nickelées qui sont venus avec des armes de coupe-coupe, des couteaux. Ils sont descendus de façon violente et ils ont poignardé les 4 gardes qui étaient présents. Ils ont tué un et blessé grièvement 2 et un autre est blessé, mais sa vie n'est pas en danger. Ensuite, ils ont pu pénétrer à une courte distance à l'intérieur de la présidence et un des gardes a commencé à tirer et ça a réveillé la vigilance des autres gardes postés tout autour. Il semble que l'acte terroriste ne me paraît pas crédible personnellement, puisque j'étais sur les lieux, mais le procureur de la République communiquera dessus. Mais c'est vraiment un ramassis de pieds nickelés. Ils n'avaient aucune arme de guerre et leur tentative était...
Now, Mozambique's main opposition leader, Venancio Mondlane, returned from over 2 months in exile on Thursday, declaring his readiness to participate in talks over the disputed October 9 elections that have sparked deadly protest. And Mondlane, who claims the election was stolen from him, arrived at Maputo's main airport, where he was greeted by a large group of journalists. Despite calling on his supporters to meet him, security forces restricted access to the airport. The opposition leader has accused the ruling Frelimo party and its candidate, Daniel Chapo, of rigging the election in Chapo's favor. Now, Chapo is scheduled to be sworn in on the 15th of January. Authorities have called for dialogue to resolve the dispute and ease the tensions which have led to weeks of violence and unrest.
Eu me percebi que o regime optou por uma estratégia de criar uma espécie de um genocídio silencioso. As pessoas estão a ser sequestradas das suas casas, as pessoas estão a ser executadas extrajudicialmente nas matas, estão a ser descobertas agora as balas comuns com supostos apoiantes do Venâncio Mandani, há um crescimento geométrico de assassinatos, que eu acho que não posso estar ao fresco, bem protegido, quando o próprio povo, se está no suporte da minha própria candidatura, dos meus valores, está sendo massacrado. Então eu estou aqui para testemunhar isso. Também me disseram que há uma narrativa, de que há uma série de responsabilidades criminais que recaem sobre mim e que eu não queria responder por estas acusações, portanto eu estava fora do país. Então venho aqui mostrar que estou disponível a submeter-me à justiça, a defender-me perante a justiça e a provar perante a justiça quais são os verdadeiros culpados dos crimes hediondos que aconteceram até hoje.
It's time now to go on another short break, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, as the recently inaugurated president of Ghana, John Mahama, steps into office once again, we explore the significance of his speech, his esteemed guests, including Burkina Faso leader Ibrahim Traoré, and what these developments mean for Ghana's international relations. There are also growing calls and sentiments about Africa's shift towards a more youthful and dynamic leadership in the continent. And this comes following interesting reactions from the Ghanaian youths about the presence of the current head of state of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and Ghana's relationship with Burkina Faso growing stronger. What exactly does this mean for the future of West African diplomacy? And as young people across the continent demand more representation and accountability from their leaders, we explore the implications as well for governance in Africa. And the question remains, have the youth truly awakened to that? And now to discuss this, we're joined by a political analyst and a research associate, Durban University of Technology, Dr. Omololu Fagbadibo. Thank you so much, Dr. Fagbadibo, for joining us. Now let's start. It's a pleasure. Let's start with the rousing welcome by Ghana's youths to Burkina Faso's leader, that the admiration from the crowd, especially the youth. What is your take on the level of welcome that he has received, especially from a budding population, you see, the youth that is?
Thank you so much. The rousing welcome of Traoré in Ghana was a welcome idea, and it was an indication that youth all over Africa, not only in Ghana, would prefer a leader who is progressive in terms of policy, in terms of promoting the welfare of citizens, as Traoré is doing in Burkina Faso. We've seen a change in Burkina Faso in terms of the leadership style. He has not shown the trait of a dictator that characterize civilian leadership in Africa, in most African countries. So the rousing welcome was an indication that, look, this is a young guy who is committed to the promotion of the interest of citizens of Burkina Faso, that we welcome him. It's an indication of the failure of leadership in Africa, because African youth are tired of all these crises of governance being perpetrated by the octogenarian leaders that parade in Africa. It was an indication of a positive change. Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm curious, do you think that the change in style of leadership, especially now that we see a lot of people more considerate about the interests of the youth, has anything to do with the fact that the youth have suddenly awakened to the fact that they are more powerful in terms of decision-making and governance than they actually think?
I think what has helped the youth to arise then is, I will consider as the development in ICT, which had opened up the barriers that we have. The globalization has turned our eyes to see what is happening in other countries. And as a result, they've discovered that, okay, well, youth have power. They have the power to hold government accountable, like what we have in Sudan, like what the Arab Spring, So I think it's just, what is happening now is the youth coming to realize that, okay, well, if our leaders have failed, it is time for us to take up this gauntlet. It is time for us to protest, and it is time for us to ensure that, okay, well, we can do it better. We need a better system of government that will serve the interest of citizens. And I think the awareness is more and more now. The reawakening of the youth in participation in politics is ripe, and it's been demonstrated all over. We had it in Senegal. That's why we have a youth person in Senegal. That's what we've seen. Yes, I see that as a rising horizon for African youth to take up the challenge of accountability and good governance. Yep.
Great. Now that we've established that, how exactly would you characterize the current relationship between Ghana and Burkina Faso? What would you say are the key factors that drive this relationship?
One, the government in Ghana is new. And the factor that led to the Burkina Faso, Mali, and then for leaving ECOWAS was because of the reaction to the coup, not to the crisis of governance created by the preceding governments in those states. And I think that's what angered Burkina Faso and Mali and the other party to leave ECOWAS. So I see for Mahama is just an opportunity to bring back the old relationship. I'm not sure he's talking about ECOWAS now, but he's looking at the interaction between Ghana and Burkina Faso. The progressive idea, the progressive relationship among them is trying to revive that diplomatic relationship with Burkina Faso, and then to ensure that we can work together positively without, whether you are in the military or you are in the civilian, we can work together because they see progressive ideas in Burkina Faso. But for Ghana, for the new president in Ghana, it's an opportunity for it to extend its tentacle of its foreign policy to be accommodating of all neighboring countries. And I think that is good for Ghana, not discriminating whether Burkina Faso is a military regime. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what are we going to benefit in terms of our diplomatic relationship, in terms of trade, in terms of getting rid of crises in the continent. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us to discuss this very pivotal conversation. We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Let's talk sports now. A former Super Falcons star, Mercy Akide, is helping young Nigerian girls explore an educational pathway through football scholarships in the United States through her Play to Learn initiative. Akide recently completed her 2025 selection camps in Port Harcourt and Uyo. The project seeks to give Nigerian girls between 15 and 20 an opportunity to earn football scholarships to U.S. colleges and universities. The two camps attracted some of the finest aspiring female footballers who showcased their skills under the guidance of top coaches and mentors, with Akide herself inspiring the girls by sharing her journey as the first African woman to secure a U.S. soccer scholarship. Now, according to Akide, the vision behind Play to Learn is to eventually evolve into a nationwide program which will identify and nurture Nigeria's best young female talents, providing them with life-changing opportunities.
Want to help girls get scholarship and play in America like the way I did. So I came down here, run the first one in Port Harcourt, and this is the second week I'm here at Uyo running these little girls to have opportunity to better their life, to get an education and also play the sports that they love. I take girls a lot to play college showcase. That's what they call it. Yeah, kids that wants to play in college, and I also coach at the college level. So I have friends, coaches that want young African talented players that they want to.
We're still talking sports. Lucas Bergval's 86th-minute goal secured Tottenham a 1-0 victory over defending champions Liverpool in the first leg of the League Cup semi-finals on Wednesday. The 18-year-old Swede's strike ended Liverpool's 24-match unbeaten run in all competitions. Spurs, despite injuries and a challenging season, created the better chances, with Bergval capitalizing on Dominic Solanke's build-up to beat Alisson. Earlier, Solanke had a goal ruled out by VAR, which referee Stuart Atwell announced directly to the crowd. Liverpool, who won 6-3 at Spurs in December, struggled to find their rhythm, while Tottenham's defence, led by Radu Dragusin, held firm. The second leg at Anfield next month will decide the tie. Newcastle defeated Arsenal 2-0 in the other semi-final. Seven Sports Baral Football Club of Kano has suspended its technical advisor, Salisu Yusuf, following disappointing results in the 2024-2025 Nigerian National League, the season NNL. The club has yet to secure a win, recording 2 draws and 2 losses. The decision was made after a management meeting and announced in a statement by the club's media officer, Ahmed Hamisu Gwale. The club expressed gratitude for Yusuf's contributions, but emphasized the need for a change in leadership. Chief coach Rabiu Tata will now assume the role of interim technical advisor, with his assistant also playing a key role in overseeing the team's operations. The club thanked Yusuf for his service and wished him success in his future endeavors. Well, that's all on the news at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. Now, we did tell you President Tinubu pays tribute to soldiers killed in Borno attack. We also mentioned Communications Minister confirms imminent hike in Telecom's tariff. And finally, we said Mozambique opposition leader returns from exile amid post-election dispute. You can watch News Central Live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Osugu.